Hey YouTubers, it's Road Dog Does Politics here. I told you that I'd come with a video on Saturday about Brexit because so much has been going on the past few weeks. It's been really hard to keep up with all the votes and stuff. But it's such a fucking shambles. It's such a shit show. I think it's safe to say the UK as a whole is in a state of national emergency and constitutional chaos at this point. I just can't believe the sheer levels of incompetency. So I'm going to do a video on it, basically, just to get out my views. So where we are at the moment, I'm reading off a Financial Times article from yesterday. So where we are currently in regard to the deal and the EU and Brussels and the leaving date, etc. 29th of March is no longer our departure date. I think it's something like April, in about 2 weeks' time-ish, just over. So the EU has given the UK a choice on Brexit: accept Theresa May's agreement, leave the bloc without a deal, remain members for a long period, or revoke the Article 50 exit process altogether. Britain has little time to which to make up its mind. At a historic summit in Brussels on Thursday, the bloc's 27 other leaders said that if Mrs May's deal was swiftly approved, the UK's previously scheduled March 29th exit would be delayed until May 22nd. If MPs do not back the deal, Britain will only have until April 12th, the country's deadline for triggering elections to the European Parliament, to choose between the remaining courses of action. Until that date, all options will remain open and the cliff edge date will be delayed. Britain therefore has some very big decisions over the next few days, choices that could shape the country's fate for the coming decades. And I think what it is that Theresa May is basically going to give 7 different options to Parliament. So that includes leaving without a deal, accepting her deal, revoking Article 50, a customs union, single market, a customs arrangement, remaining in the EU. I think that's about 5 off the top of my head. So the third meaningful vote, as if she didn't get the message the first and second time around, she's going to have a third meaningful vote, even though this week the Speaker, John Bercow, said that you cannot bring back the same vote for a third time if nothing's changed, which it hasn't, essentially. She's brought back the same deal twice and begged MPs to vote for her deal, but everyone said, fuck no, Theresa, I hate this deal and we don't want it. So either go back to Brussels and give us something different, or I don't even know what's going to happen next. So that's the state of play. Week of March 25th, so that's this week coming. Although her Brexit deal suffered the biggest and fourth biggest defeats in parliamentary history, and her premiership is under attack from almost all fronts, Mrs May wants to try to win MPs' approval again. A vote is likely on Tuesday or Wednesday. The UK Prime Minister's authority seems to be slipping away, but Mrs May's bet is that faced with the choice between her deal, no deal, and the alternative of a long delay, recalcitrant MPs will finally blink. If, however, her deal is voted down for a third time, Mrs May's resignation may well be on the agenda, a move that could throw the Brexit timetable into further chaos and might make a long extension more likely. So, I might read a bit more from that article later. But the gist of it is, we're in a massive mess. We're in a massive, monumental, constitutional, national mess, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed to be a part of, call myself a British citizen, because it's embarrassing. Like, oh, how's Brexit going? Oh, I bet Europe and the rest of the world is laughing at us right now. It's just like, when is your Prime Minister going to resign? Like, as if, the first time she got the biggest defeat in parliamentary history wasn't enough for her. I'm going to keep going. I mean, she's just the most incompetent. Okay. I have so much to say on this. I just think the problem is with specifically Theresa May and, her as an individual, the way that she has handled these negotiations and Brexit has been, on a whole, very single-minded and narrow-minded. She's sort of like she's blinkered and like she's just completely tunnel-visioned. She has not at any point in the process looked for cross-party consensus. She hasn't reached out across the house and said, hey guys, the country voted for this, so I want everyone around the table and we're going to have a big meeting and you're going to give me your ideas on the best way forward. I want everyone's opinions. I want everyone's best ideas. Hit me up. She never did that. Never did that. She never once thought about doing that. And it's only just now that she's thought, oh, maybe I should ask other people's opinions because I'm not getting anywhere. It's just the absolute a mixture of defiance, stubbornness, narrow-mindedness, self-interested, unrepentant, unapologetic arrogance. That's what it is. It's just pure, unadulterated arrogance to think that she can stay on in her position and manage this all of herself with her party and keep her party together. That's the origin of all of this. Keeping the Tory party together. And it's all it's been. And you can't do that. You cannot treat this like a party political issue when it's about something that's much, much bigger than that. It's much bigger on a national, almost international stage. It's like a completely psychological, economic, financial, future of the country's at stake issue. You cannot treat it like just something the Conservatives can just do on a rainy day. And she's done exactly that, and that's why we're in the shitter at the moment, because she's not reached across the house and said, hey, I'm over here, give me your ideas, folks. So that's one thing, is that Theresa May has been so single-minded throughout this entire process. All of that and her bloody red lines that she's just continuing to stick by and thinking that people are going to change their minds if I just push them hard enough and threaten them, then maybe that will work. Fuck no, Theresa. No, it won't. People aren't going to change their minds if you continue to threaten them and tell them that they're enemies of the people and traitors. Oh, they won't do what I want them to do. I'm going to threaten them and tell the people that I'm on their side, really. Fuck off. You're not on my side. You've never been on my side. You've never been on the people's side at all. It's just all just games to her. It's just a game. It's so arrogant and it's so selfish. She's just tearing the country to pieces with her arrogance. And it's not just her, it's members of her own party as well that are at it. It is just disgusting, foul behaviour as self-interested, egotistical individuals who just want to push their own agendas and forget about the fate of the country. Because, I'm all right, Jack. Fuck you guys. I'm all right. I've got my mansion and my castle and my tax haven. Oh, Jesus Christ. But I think this is. Someone on Question Time the other day put this really well. There was a 16-year-old girl in the audience, and she said it goes back much farther than just the past couple of years. It's decades upon decades of austerity and just the people who are worse off in this country being completely ignored for ages and just being treated as second-class citizens. And it's just been a slow burning thing that is just, people are getting more frustrated, more angry. The more you take from people, you know, you're just gonna piss people off. All you're gonna do is piss people off. And I think if you go and watch Jonathan Pye's latest video on Brexit, he makes a really good point saying that austerity is basically a breach of the contract between the government and the people. And once you break the contract of basically the government saying, give me your money, I'm going to take your money from you every month, and then I'm going to, you know, spread it evenly and equally and fairly back into the society, that's fine. You can have my money as long as I can see it being used for good in my community. But that's not been happening for the past decade. It's just not been happening. And you understand why people feel angry and pissed off, because they don't see positive change within their local area. It's just been decimated. Like, especially cities and towns in the north, where local services and housing estates have their guts ripped out of them. It's depressing. It's so sad, and it's homelessness as well, and the increase in food banks. I mean, do MPs not see this? Are they just in denial about it? It's just, I can't. Like, this is why we're in the situation that we're in, because people have been, you know, putting their fingers in their ears and pretending that it's not happening when it is. It's the breach of contract, whereby you stop putting that money that you take out of people's, you know, bank accounts from their hard-earned money that they've earned from working, and you decide that, you know, I'm gonna keep that money for myself. Actually, I'm gonna give it to private investors, and then I'm gonna secret some of it off to, like, you know, tax havens, so that, you know, no one else can see it. And then, when I've taken everything away from you, and you're really pissed off, I'm going to blame it on immigrants and black people, because I don't want to get blamed when people realise that they've been conned. I'm going to blame it on these people. I'm going to tell my media buddies to also blame it on those people. So I'm in the clear. Yes. And that is where we are now. Sprinkle a little bit of populism on, you know, government failings, and tell people to look the other way. If you do that for long enough, that's Brexit for you, folks. Austerity mixed with a bit of populism over a period of time. Tell people to look over there at the asylum seeker and the Muslim and the immigrant. That's how we get to Brexit. And I'm sorry, but that's how it's happened. It's fucking depressing. It's really fucking sad. And I don't know where we go from here, but Parliament, it needs to be smashed into little pieces, and we need to start over again completely, because it's a mess. And Brexit has exposed that. It's exposed the utter failings of successive governments year on year, that they just cannot, with the political system we have set up, they cannot deal with this sort of crisis. And they should be able to. But because they've been so self-interested in their little bubble for decades, they don't see what's out there. They don't recognise, they don't want to see what's out there. And because they've ignored it for so long, they've just gone, la 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 la, I don't care, it's not happening, here are some stats that prove it's not happening. But it is, and the longer you go ignoring it, the worse it will get. And here we are. sorry. What are we going to do about it? The whole thing needs a complete overhaul. So, and there are good MPs in Parliament. There really are some good MPs that really stick up for like local constituencies and communities. But I'd say like between 80 and 90% of them are all just neoliberal, corrupt, self-important, self-interested individuals who really didn't care a jot for like little old Betty in her nursing home who's getting mistreated and, you know, receives benefits, or, you know, these poor people who are really suffering and no one's doing a fucking thing about it. It's just, it makes you want to weep. It makes you want to weep. It's so sad. It's so sad. So that's where we are now, and I don't know what the outcome of these votes are going to be, but for one thing, Theresa May needs to go. She needs to resign. And the Conservative Party needs to also go. Because at this point, it's just fucking ridiculous that they're still in office. For one thing, it's revealed that they're only interested in power above all things. And that is not how a functioning democracy works. This whole thing has really just exposed the sheer incompetency of those we put in power, in positions of authority. And we put our trust in those people in order to govern us and do the right thing in our interests, and they really haven't been doing that at all. And that is the most depressing thing, because people put their faith in those MPs, and when they turn their back on you and tell you lies and feed you mistruths and scapegoat, that's a dangerous path. So here we are again, and this is where that has led to. Decades of scapegoating, of, you know, pointing the finger, of public service cuts. I could go on. Just homelessness alone is depressing as fuck. Knife crime. Don't tell me you give a shit about knife crime or the health service or education. Oh, I think we need to get on with these issues. I think you care about this. Don't patronise me, Theresa May. Don't patronise me. I know you don't care, because if you had cared, you'd have done something about it years ago in 2010. But you didn't. You sent out go-home lorries. That's how I know where you stand on that issue. Right. I've gone on about this for like 20 minutes. So, Jesus Christ. That's where we are, folks. Brexit in a nutshell. In a 20-minute nutshell. We need to break the system. We need to crush it down to the bone and start over. Because this is fucking ridiculous. Right, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my videos. Whoop whoop. And I'll see you in a stream or two. Bye.